Yo, it's Trent. Sub, share, like, comment, all that stuff. Hope everyone's having a good day, good weekend, Sunday. We got a good one today. We really do. So, yesterday's story reminded me of this one, right? Yesterday was talking to the cops while high or stoned, right? But today we got speaking to the cops, or really it was just speaking to one cop off acid. And this is gotta be, besides when there was 2 or 3 times where I really was genuinely concerned for, like, my health. Like, I thought I took too much of something and I thought I was gonna die. Besides that, this was the scariest shit I've had happen when I was on anything. And also, to clarify, I don't take any of that stuff anymore. It's just fucking weed and nicotine, you know what I mean? Occasional drinking. I don't do any of the bad stuff, right? But I used to, and this shit happened, so let me talk about it. And it gets, Matt, just listen, this shit, it was wild. So, there was a group of kids I hung out with for maybe like half a summer, maybe a little less. I didn't see them too often, right? And the only other time I've talked about this group was when the cops came to my house about us stealing alcohol, right? And nothing ever happened with that. They didn't catch anybody. No one said shit anyway. So, like, we were all good with that, right? No, I had nothing to do with it anyways, so. But, so I'm going to hang out with them again, right? But that day started off fucking normal or whatever, but I already planned on tripping, right? I had not planned on going to see them, but I planned on tripping later on. Now, usually what would happen is, like, let's say I woke up at 12, right? 5:30 to 6:30 is, like, when everybody's home. You know what I mean? My sister, my mom, my dad, like, everybody, you know what I'm saying? And, you know, I gotta be careful, but also it was at a time where I could control myself off of acid. You know what I mean? It wasn't like my first time ever. Like, I could handle it, but also, dilated pupils. I was about to say that reverse. I said pupulated. What the fuck does that mean? That's not even a word. Yeah, dilated pupils to the fucking max, you know what I'm saying? So, obviously, I don't want to be there for too long, so I wanted to time it right? I wanted to take it at, like, I don't know, like 4 or 5, so it started kicking in when they got back, so that I could leave, right? Or I could go do my own thing, or do whatever, stay in my room, right? So I take it at, like, let's just say 4 to 4:30 p.m., right? Sometime around that, and I knew that it was going to be 12 hours, but I was thinking it'll go away by, like, 4 a.m., maybe 5, and then I'll sleep till like 12, 1 the next day. Like, it was all gonna work out, right? In my head. So, right before I took it, or no, let's just go with afterwards, because I don't remember this part, to be honest, fully. But either before or after I took it, the kid texted me, right? And he's like, yo, we're playing basketball, playing like tag, not tag, but like one of those games, you know what I mean? Like Ghost in the Graveyard, some shit. Like, come over, come hang out, whatever, right? So I'm like, bet, I'm down for that. But also, I took some tabs, or I took a tab. I'm trying to think. I think I took 1.5, and I don't think I took 2, because I don't think I would have actually gone out if I took more than 1.5, because I just feel sketchy about it. But I was like, okay, I'll be over in a little while, right? So when I started walking there, I didn't feel shit. I didn't feel anything, right? It had been like, my guess is like 30 minutes since I took it. So obviously I'm not feeling anything for a little while. When I did get to his house, though, there was a couple kids playing basketball, and there was a couple kids, I think they were racing or something. I don't know if they were racing on bikes, or they might have been running, but I think they were on bikes, right? Just a lot of people. There was like, I don't know, 10 to 20 people, right? And we're all just hanging out, doing our own things and chilling, right? Then it starts to tingle me a little bit. Like, I start to feel it around here, right? Like, I'm like, ooh, the acid, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel it fucking going into my body. So, or not, it's already in my body, I guess, starting to fuck with my body. So we're standing there, and I decided to play a little bit of basketball. I was down, right? So I play a little bit. I didn't do bad, but also I felt a little, like, I was feeling weird. You know, it's before you start, like, tripping, when you're just like, man, I don't feel normal. Like, I don't feel sober, but I don't feel high. Like, you just feel different, right? That's how I felt. So we're doing that for a little bit, and then we're going to start Ghost in the Graveyard soon, because it's going to get dark. Well, no. It couldn't have been getting dark unless it was like August or some shit. But even then, even if it had been an hour, I don't think it'd be getting dark. But we were going to play Ghost in the Graveyard when it got dark, right? So what did we do before? Oh, there was going to be a bonfire later that night. That's what was happening. After basketball, we started setting up the bonfire and shit. And that's when it was like I started getting some visuals, right? Because I was picking up these wood chunks. And every time I'd look at the wood chunk, I'd see the circles. And you know how there's so many lines on the wood? Like those, like, firewood, you know what I mean? There's just lines. So I'm looking at those and they're like kind of breathing a little bit. I'm like, okay, I'm feeling it, right? So we set up that for a while. And then, like, by the time we did get everybody together for Ghost in the Graveyard, tag, that whole game, you know what I mean? I was already tripping. Not like peeking. I wasn't peeking, but I was tripping, you know what I mean? Like the grass looked pretty. Like I was tripping, you know what I'm saying? I kept looking at the street light, just staring at it because all the bugs up at it, you know? And I just could not keep my eyes off of it. So I remember for the first round, and I think we got through like 3 rounds before shit went down. So the first round I wasn't it, second round I wasn't it, but third round I was it, right? But there's also a couple other kids with me because they knew I was tripping and they thought that'd be mean to just make me it, you know? So they were like, we'll give you some people, right? It was fair. I understood. So we're playing for maybe 15 minutes into the round, right? And there's a loud-ass crashing noise. I think it was someone crashing a bike, but it was loud. That's all that matters, right? That's what my guess is why the cops showed up, but the cops did show up a little bit after that, right? Everybody took off. Everybody ran. Not me, right? I was tripping balls. Not, like, peaking, but I was tripping heavy. You know what I'm saying? Like, I was ready to start walking home soon after this game, right? That was already what I was thinking. I was already thinking, like, oh, after this one, I'll probably start heading back because I'll be at the peak at some point soon, right? So, the cop comes, and I'm like, I'm not peeking, but I'm high as shit. I'm like, okay, everybody's running to the right and to the left. Like, everybody was running up the street because the cops were behind us, you know what I'm saying? There was a cut through to the right, and there was, I don't want to be mean, but I don't know how else to describe him because I don't know his name. There was a really big kid, like a really large kid, you know what I'm saying? I don't want to say fat, that's mean, because he was really cool, but he was big, he was large and in charge, you know what I'm saying? He didn't want to run either. So me and him were the only ones did not run. Everybody took off, and we just turned right down this cutoff, right? And just walked through there, and the cop went, like, past us, like, drove past us. So I thought we were good. I thought we were in the clear. I wasn't even, like, I knew we didn't do anything wrong, and I don't even think I had anything on me besides nicotine. And I knew they couldn't, like, tell I was tripping unless they talked to me. So I was like, oh, I'll be all good, right? We're walking down the street away from the whole scenario, situation. We're just talking about life, talking about music, right? Maybe talking about girls. I don't think so, though. I think we were just talking about music and juice and shit, right? And I'm walking down the street, and we hear sirens, like, that way, right? So we're like, oh, shit, did they get them? And we're, like, kind of looking back. When we come, like, around this corner to the right, because we were walking down a sidewalk, you know, and we got to, like, where a stop sign was, the moment we turned right, a cop came down the road, right? And he saw us, and he, like, pulled over to the side and stopped. Now, we did not run. We still did not run, but we didn't stop either, because he, you know, he didn't put his lights on or anything. He didn't, like, run out of the car. He just pulled up next to us and stopped, right? So we kept walking, but kind of speed walking. But you can only do so much with a big kid and a kid tripping, you know what I'm saying? So the cop's like, hey, I need to talk to you guys a minute. And I tried to ignore him, but he was like, can you guys come back here, please? Can we make this easy? You know what I mean? So he wasn't being a huge dick. We just turned around, right? Like, let's get this shit over with. And I was really hoping, because the dude knew. I was about to call him Buddy, but I don't know. I don't want to discredit him for anything he's done, right? So this dude, right, fucking, I'm hoping that he knows I'm tripping. Well, he does know I'm tripping. I'm hoping he's going to take over this conversation, you know what I'm saying? I'm hoping he's going to take initiative and just talk to this cop, because I did not want to do it. My thoughts were racing. I was, like, halfway between having a bad trip and being okay, and, like, I was already stressed about this situation. This was not going to help, right? So I'm kind of breathing heavy. I'm like, not visibly nervous. I wasn't shaking or anything. If I was shaking, that'd be fucked. But I wasn't shaking. I was just kind of breathing hard, right? And he was asking what was going on. And we just said, you know, we were playing basketball, playing, like, tag and shit. I don't know why you guys even got called. I don't know what happened. Like, we have no idea, right? He's like, there was a noise complaint. Too many kids out past curfew. But it wasn't even past curfew, I don't think. I don't know what he was saying. I was tripping, dude. But when he started talking to me, because he was talking to both of us in general, kind of looking at both of us, he started talking to me specifically. He's like, can I know your name? He's like, what's your name? Whatever he said, right? And I am just looking at him right in the eyes, tripping hard, right? And I swear to God, this is what happened. I'm looking at him, right? And his eyebrows start wiggling. Like, not even the full thing, not like past here, like this down was fine on both sides. But right up here, like over here, was wiggling like this on his face, right? And then I'm looking at his eyeballs, and his eyes look like they're doing this. Like, his eyes look like they were just shifting down his face. Like, you know when you create a player in a video game, like a sports game, like MLB The Show or Madden or some shit, you can drag their eyes down and up their face. And even Wii Sports, you can make it real low in Wii Sports. Like, you can put their eyes all the way down on their chin, right? That's how it looked for me. I looked at him and his eyes doing that, and I like blinked my eyes, right? But I didn't want to do it too much because I didn't want him to show him I was like actively fighting these visions, you know? But I'm looking at this stuff and I'm like, Jesus Christ, like this is fucking me up, right? Then he had like what was it? He didn't have like one of those like sergeant hats on, you know what I mean? But he had a hat on. And I remember when he adjusted like the middle part up here, he had some sweat and it looked almost neon green. Like not neon, but it looked green. And I remember looking, and the thought that popped in my mind was Shrek sweat, and I almost laughed. I was like that, you know what I mean? I don't know why. I was stressed out too. I was on the verge of having a bad trip, and my mind, you know, because you're tripping, just threw that in there. I saw him sweating, it looked green, Shrek sweat, and I almost fucking lost it, right? But I kept my shit together, and he was like, okay, you guys can go, you know, just don't be loud, or don't be playing these games all in the middle of the street. We're like, okay, thank you, right? I dipped from the kid that I was walking. I was like, yo, I'm gonna go home. I'm about to start like peeking. I start walking home. I remember right when I got on my street, there was a cop on my street, which had nothing to do with what we were in. But I was just so like done with it. I was tripping hard, like getting home too. I was like, man, I just want to get home. This cop better not talk to me. And he was getting out of his car as I was getting like, I don't know, 10 feet away from him. And I'm like, oh my God, here we go again, right? And he walks to the right, so he is walking towards me kind of. But he just walks on the sidewalk and walks up to this house to the right. So, whole different cop situation, but he just walked right past me. I was like, oh my God. Like, if he knew what was going on in my brain, oh. But I don't know how you're supposed to, like, how I'm supposed to take that, because that was like the universe teaching me a lesson right there. Like, it was one of the last times I ever took acid, and I was tripping right before the peak. So not fully tripping balls, but tripping hard. A cop talks to us. His eyebrows, his eyes are moving, and then I see him sweating. I think it looks green, so my mind goes Shrek sweat. Like, that's lethal, dude. How do you even handle it? I don't know how I pulled it off, but it was definitely a reason I stopped taking that stuff, because that was way too stressful of a situation. And if, like, I would have panicked, like, and had an anxiety attack or something, said the wrong things, like, oh, I could have been, like, not arrested, but in, like, a holding cell, or not even cell, but just in a waiting room place, you know what I mean? Just tripping. I would have hated that. So, thankfully that didn't happen, but I pulled it off. Hope everyone has a good day. You're safe. I got Rosie videos, gaming videos coming. Peace out, man.